and welcome to Only Stupid Answers. My name is Sam Basher.
I'm DJ Wooldridge.
And today we're going to be reviewing Swamp Thing. Oh, I thought there was going to be an echo or something cool that happened. Nope. All right, let's talk about Swamp Thing, Season 1, Episode 4. I don't need to say Season 1. It's Episode 4. They will never be more. Darkness on the Edge of Town. Check out this asset. Realizing that his new abilities allow him to communicate with the life around him, Swamp Thing senses a growing darkness within the swamp and begins to understand his role in the struggle for balance between growth and decay. Abby, meanwhile, is forced to accept that the things she has witnessed in Marais are evidence of supernatural forces at play, especially when she dredges up her dark history with the Sunderlands. And Liz shares some evidence with Sheriff Cable about her investigation into the death of Alec Holland. Lastly, we learn about the mysterious Daniel Cassidy and the supernatural bargain he keeps in that keeps him in Marais. Wow, that synopsis says everything except for what happened in the episode.
Yeah, 100%. I also the deal with Blue Devil is definitely one of those like, ooh, we're gonna tease this mystery out, and it's always fun to have those genre shows where characters keep meeting to talk around a mystery, and they never add new information. Mm-hmm. It's always like the same basic conversation.
That's a season's worth of a J.J. Abrams show. Mm-hmm. Always, it's like, what is in this vault in the ground?
Also, I gotta throw this out there. Words that I never need to hear in a genre show ever again. Darkness is one of them. It's such a vague. There's something dark going on. Yeah, I get it, man. There's people getting brain viruses.
The person who ruined... I think the shows that ruined it were the CW superhero shows for me.
100%, because there's
Arrow.
At least 4 of them.
He's like, but there's darkness in me. I don't know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. Go to therapy. I don't know. Yeah. Go to rehab. I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, there's just
you don't even get to talk about that. You never played it.
But it's just a lot of like, it's a generic.
You don't know.
Ooh, bad stuff is going down. It's like, yeah, man, I get it.
My nephews, by the way, played Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
They had a blast mainly because Disney Worlds.
Yeah.
Anyways, there are no Disney Worlds in Swamp Thing. If anything, this would never be allowed in a Disney park. Now, we open with the episode. 2 random...
I would go to that park, that little swamp, like, boat ride. Like, what do they call the water rides? There's a term for it. Flume. It's a little flume ride with Swamp Thing and the animatronic Swamp Thing. I would love it.
And he repeatedly rips the same guy in half.
Yes, I would love it. But it's that little, like, you get that little spray of water in your face when he does it.
And then everyone comes out and, like, they put, like, a little red in the water. Just, like, a little bit. Save some money. Not too much. But yeah, so we open the episode on 2. This is spoiler filled.
Yes.
We open with 2 howdy dudes hanging out in the swamp, and somehow a tree picked up a corpse 10,000 years ago or something, and then dropped that corpse
after
onto...
World War I think was the timeline we were given.
He had a hotel key, so I don't know. No one can say when it was. It's definitely that. It drops down. They get infected with fear, darkness, whatever that is.
Yeah, and the corpse takes a chunk out of the guy just because his mouth falls on.
So do we have to... I'm led to believe that he blew his brains out, right? Like, that's why probably. The bottom of his mouth was gone.
Yeah, wouldn't it affect the back of your head more?
We never looked at the back. I don't think we... No, we did. Mm-hmm. No, the answer is we did. So I couldn't tell you. So we end up having our guys running around in the city, infecting more people or killing themselves.
They scratch, it moves on to... Interestingly, it's not like it just infects more people. It moves from person to person.
Yeah, my favorite part was people getting obvious, enormous slashes on their necks, arms, what have you, and everyone's like, guess I gotta go about my day. Don't put a Band-Aid on it. Don't put anything. Someone just ripped your throat open. I mean, it's not your neck at that point. The throat's here, so the neck's there. But she that sheriff was like, gotta go back to my job. Maybe the fear makes you do that. Couldn't tell you. We do dive more into I like having Abby being like the foil for exploring Marais and all of the more supernatural sides. Also, she is accepting all the supernatural stuff very
stride.
Like she's really kind of just taking it and doing it, whatever. I do like that they're really plowing through Swamp Thing lore. They're just kind of like the rot, whatever. This is something that's nice because this would be like an issue of something that we never touch on it again, and that's fine.
Yeah, I do like that this show is open to the idea of, it's not a case of the week, but it's like we're not getting too bogged down with like, I mean, we just got last season of Jessica Jones, and it's just a reminder of how bogged down those Netflix shows got with the idea of a big bad. And the CW shows too, like, can sometimes get like overly involved with this whole big bad idea. And it's like there's a overarching story, but there is an issue week to week that makes each episode feel distinct. I will say that whatever brain virus thing was not the most engaging. The first these last two episodes didn't have anything as scary as the first episode with the plant corpse situation, or as like comic book cheerworthy as when Swamp Thing first uses his powers to take out that guy
in the second episode. Yeah.
So these are just episodes. You know what I mean? And I like that they're experimenting with different aspects of it. Like you said, I like that this is something we don't necessarily need to touch on again. It might be rot related. It might not be.
It's something that belongs to the swamp, whatever that means. It came from it, maybe. Who knows? It's nice and ambiguous, and like it's dark and mysterious corners of the DC universe. Those are always fun to kind of dabble with. Yeah. And the show's doing a good job with exploring it. Like, how else would you do this? Like, if you want to show Nightmare Monster, I think they did a really good job realizing a lot of those. Yeah. I think it looked good, especially I thought the CGI actually looked good for like the snake on the guy's arm and the murder mystery house. Yeah. And the other one was just sheriff saw scary things, and we did see but I think the most interesting one was let's see, I think we have, well, I guess we can throw up Abby if you want to.
We've got Abby's vision.
Let's
throw that up.
There it is.
There we go. This one actually got me, as a fan of the comics, got me very excited, because this is definitely, it's funny, this asset actually shows more than you saw in the episode. It's like, it's just the dude's face, but he's very shrouded in the episode, but it's 100% Anton Arcane, and that got me stoked, because I know not only are we not getting him this season, but we're never getting him because the show's been canceled.
So for people who don't know, who's Anton Arcane?
Anton Arcane is Swamp Thing's big bad. If you've ever seen the original Swamp Thing movie, or the show that was on USA, or whatever, any of the comics, Anton Arcane is his guy. In more recent comics, he's been connected to the idea of the Rot, which we talked about on prior reviews for this show.
What was he before the Rot?
Before the Rot, he was mad scientist dude that was he created what he called, his henchmen were the Unmen, which were like mutant creatures. There was an animated series that I watched as a kid, and of course, because it's like a kid's animated series, instead of the Unmen being like gross mutants, they had like there was a snake guy and there was a bat dude, and they were like fused with animals and stuff. So it was super cool.
Jeff Lemire and Scott Snyder did some really fun stuff with, and Charles Soule did some fun stuff with the Unmen and Anton Arcane, because I don't know, they're probably from you said they were from the comics, but there is a mix of that, like corpses and animals in like the New 52 run of both of those for Animal Man and for Swamp Thing.
So Arcane is not only he's a big villain for Swamp Thing, but he's also one of the major villains for the mystical side of the DC universe as is. So and this is a shame. This is where it's like you're seeding long-term stuff. You want to build toward Arcane, and now your show is canceled, so you kind of don't get to have them.
It is a bummer. I will say
and
the
he's
show.
Abby's father.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I thought it was uncle. It depends on what you want to do.
Yeah.
In the New 52, it was uncle.
Yeah.
Because then he had a kid, and that kid was a part of the Animal Man story.
Yes.
For a little bit.
Yeah.
Super complicated, but it doesn't matter. In this, she doesn't really know who that person is. Yes. It was like a ghost that was around. Something to do with her mom, gone and now back. Yeah. So whatever that means. Super cool. And I did like the romantic side of them showing like Swamp Thing and Abby, like when he was trying to be there for her. Mm-hmm. I do now, getting into it, because we both really liked how they showed the relationship between Alec and Abby in the first episode. Yes. I think it would have been super beneficial if they had shown that they had met like 10 years ago, and now they're rekindling whatever that is, and we get to see how sweet it is, and you're like, you know what, they do have something there. They have a history, because now that we explore Alec, there isn't really anybody for us to know. It's just seeing what Swamp Thing does now. Yeah. Like, we can get flashbacks, we can kind of get to that, like, the green or whatever, that ethereal place where we saw Alec. Yeah. But now any relationship going forward isn't with Alec, it's with Swamp Thing, whatever that means.
I get what you're saying, and I think traditionally in the comics they do have a prior history before, when they're younger, when they're kids. He grew up in the same town, and there's merit for that. I do kind of like that it's like she had something with Alec, but now the romance is with Swamp Thing. Mm-hmm. That's who she knows. I think there's something interesting about that aspect. Like, I hear what you're saying, but I do find kind of what they're doing interesting in a unique way.
It is, but I don't know if I've yet to connect with what Swamp Thing is, besides the fact that he is scared. and he is unaware of he is not sure what's happening to him, and he's kind of like the creepy loner hiding in the corner, here's just a little bit of my skin, go scan it, you know,
go tell me what I am.
Which is not bad. It's not a bad show. It's just that I know the extent of their relationship, so when they show me more of them, like of her caring, it's like she probably cares as much as a normal person would too. Like if you saw, like you had a really good lunch with someone, and then they came and looked like that, you'd be like, oh, I'd try to do something to help you out, but at the same time, like, trying to sell that they love each other is a bit of a stretch.
Maybe she's into it. Like he's definitely more Jack now that he's Swamp Thing than he was as Alec Holland. You know
Plant
what I mean?
Sona. Yeah. That's for you guys. There you go. The Anton Arcane, though, the tease, because I know with 10 episodes we might get more of him, whatever that means, and more of the rot. And I think that's a cool way to kind of connect it along with this. Like,
there's been nobody cast as Arcane. As far as IMDb goes. So maybe there's going to be a swerve or a surprise or something, but.
Maybe they just didn't announce it. No, they announce that stuff all the time. Man, that's such a big bummer. But I do really enjoy. I actually really enjoyed this episode because the horror elements, like having our busboy shove his hand into the garbage disposal, it did look like Play-Doh when he pulled it out. But at the same time, it did make me gasp. Yeah. But I do gasp easily, so I'm all over the place.
It made me gasp too. But I wish there had been a little. I don't know what I wish it'd been, because to me it looked like it was hard to look at because it was a very graphic situation, but it looked like CG, you know what I mean? Like whatever. But I did like the fear of snakes. I did like the idea of this virus. I liked the dad who clearly was a fan of The Purge when he was a kid, or the people that murdered his mom were fans of The Purge, however many decades ago that was. And seeing how that affected people. And I'm interested in the idea of the Sunderlands adopting the girl. And
it was purely a power play, which I'm like, yeah, that makes total sense. Because for a second you're like, oh yeah, he's not a bad guy, but then you remember that he beat someone to death with a golf club literally, 6 hours ago?
Yeah.
What a bad man. What a good actor.
Yeah, exactly. Because of the conclave, whatever that is, if we ever find out what that is.
Parliament of trees, and then you got the conclave.
Yeah, and then we've got...
the Homeowners Association.
As Abby is trying to help discover Swamp Thing's secret, Woodrue gets involved, and we know that's probably not going to end well for anybody.
You pointed out before that you can kind of tell that the suit looks more like a suit, and I was like, no. And then I look at this photo, I'm like, oh yeah.
They're lighting it different than they lit it in the first couple episodes. So it's now like, on the one hand, I like that we're getting more interaction with Swamp Thing because he sounds really cool.
Yeah.
On the other hand, like the way they're lighting it, it just looks more suit-like. It is a very cool suit. Not knocking it, but it feels a little less organic than it did in the first couple episodes.
So Woodrue, when they're doing the autopsy of Swamp Thing's
thingy.
What if we met him now and he was missing a finger? It's like, whoa, you actually gave it? He's like, yeah, you asked
you think I could just grow it back?
Yeah, are you crazy? This takes years. Yeah. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
Woodrue, his entire exchange was both interesting and super confusing and very much just like an archetype of like, he's a mad scientist who doesn't care about people. And it's like, it's not bad, but I want you to go full mad scientist in about 2 episodes and then we can be done with you. It's just I'm not super sold on Woodrue. I like the idea that you've talked about for Floronic Man from the comics and wanting to take over the green as someone that is like Poison Ivy, but boy.
Yeah.
Right? Poison Kiss, probably. Swamp Thing probably has Poison Kiss.
Yeah, he probably does have Poison Kiss.
Abby, look out. Be careful. Rubber lips.
Yeah, you don't know what he's got going on down there.
But how are you feeling with Woodrue so far?
I like it. I think overall my concerns with the show is the first 2 episodes felt like they were really moving forward. The last 2 episodes kind of felt like stalling. Like people are having similar... They're reiterating, like we're talking about Cassidy and Madame Xanadu. It's very similar. Nothing they said in this conversation couldn't have been said in the last one. It's like you could have it's essentially the same conversation. The stuff with Woodrue's the same stuff. Like we move forward in that now he's involved in investigating Swamp Thing. So I think we're getting closer to the Floronic Man, which might be our big, like, if we get a big showdown. You know, like Doom Patrol had the rat and the cockroach. You know what I mean? Like this is Doom Patrol's rat and the cockroach.
That show got 15 episodes.
It sure did.
Amen.
And so we're building towards that, but it now suddenly it feels like it's kind of spinning its wheels a little bit, and it's like, no, let's go back to that first 2 episode energy where you're just kind of like you're moving forward, you're doing things, things are happening. It feels more like a complete cohesive idea.
I do really like whenever they use the plant animation. Whenever whatever Swamp Thing's little boy pad where he pulls like Abby's boat through. I'm like, super on board with this. It always looks cool.
I also I'm a sucker for any time like she's on her what are those airboat, whatever the swamp boats that she's on, and like he's lurking from the thing, because it just reminds me of watching the Swamp Thing show as a kid, and it's like, this is cool because it's just Swamp Thing, it's just cool.
And also the production value is impressive.
Yeah,
it really sank the show probably. Hey, who knows? I know everyone in the comments gonna post that like tax thing or whatever. We know too much about the behind the scenes stuff for this show so far.
Weirdly, too much, and also not enough.
Not enough.
I will say this. Can I throw out just kind of like a suggestion maybe for how this show could be saved, right? Because they've been looking at it CW's been looking at it, and it's like, I just don't see this going to I just don't see that happening. But you could and also maybe part of it's like maybe the Swamp Thing brand doesn't have like the cachet of other things. And of course, Matt Ryan's Constantine is on Legends of Tomorrow, and there would be something fitting of having 2 characters that had 1 season of a horror show combining. But think about this: maybe you take a brand that works, but you do your own spin on it, and you take this show, you take the setting, you take a good chunk of the cast, your Abby Arcane, Abby and Swamp Thing, you rebrand it as Legends of Darkness, put Matt Ryan on there, keep Cassidy as Blue Devil, keep Xanadu. You basically already have a Justice League Dark, and I'm sure like DC would poo-poo using a Justice League name for your show, which, by the way, I'm also kind of wondering if that's what sunk the show. If maybe they're still working on the Justice League Dark thing. It's like, no, we can't have a Swamp Thing show because Swamp Thing's going to be in Justice League Dark.
But they did announce that the plan was to do 2 seasons of this and then a Justice League Dark show.
I didn't hear anything that specific. All the stuff I heard was more vague. Like, we could have led to that. We could have, like...
That's also true.
Yeah.
Also because they needed to know if the show was good.
Yeah.
They're like, maybe.
But, like... So maybe just kind of doing your Dark Universe show, scoop Matt Ryan over there, give it the Legends brand. So this is kind of our like catch-all, whatever.
Hey, I'll say we have a Batwoman show coming out soon. That character's brand spanking new in terms of like other characters that get their own shows. Why not? Green Arrow is going to have 8 seasons of a show.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, so give us Legends of Darkness. And then you can pull a whole, like, only 13 episodes, and once a season, Detective Shimp could show up. It's like a Grodd situation. Like, once a season, maybe 10 minutes an episode.
Maybe it's like Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes he looks like a person. Sometimes he looks like a
person in a Halloween costume.
Could you imagine? It's like just a really hairy guy. It's just on his knuckles on the ground. Oh, they get in trouble quick.
Yeah.
Hey, how about this?
Yes.
What if you did 7 soldiers? You could do that. Wait, what was the other one? What was before Justice League Dark? They called themselves.
Shadow Pact, which I think is a significantly better name.
I do like Justice League Dark, but Shadow Pact's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and I don't think anyone's reaching for that one right now.
Take that, and also Blue Devil was a big part of that team. So there you go. I just, come on, man. Let me at least have Swamp Thing. Obviously, it'd be a very different take on the character, but let's have this Swamp Thing pop up on at least Legends Tomorrow. I want to see him hang out with Constantine.
Honestly, I really, with what you have so far, I want him to interact with the Doom Patrol at the very, I think that's the easiest crossover right now.
Had him join? Okay, that show's canceled, but now, we're probably not going to get a season 2 of Doom Patrol, right?
I'm getting the feeling.
Yeah.
Are you asking me? Like,
I feel like we're not going to get a Doom.
I feel it in my jellies because they announced Titans basically immediately, and Young Justice and Stargirl and everything. It feels, it's really hurting my heart.
Yeah.
But if they were like, hey, for the people that watch Swamp Thing, the 10 of you, and if you like Doom Patrol, the 15 of you, they're going to be on the same show now.
Yeah.
I don't know, but you know what? Also, people are going to poo-poo the idea that we said something was CW, so HBO would also be good. There you go. That's for you guys. But let's rate this episode. I think overall, I still really enjoy it, but it's not like Doom Patrol where I'm like 10 out of 10, basically.
Yeah.
At the lowest, it was 8.5, and even then it was like... It's like, but barely.
Yeah.
So for out of 10, I'd give this episode like an 8 out of 10. Like,
Same.
but it's like a very even... at 8. No wiggle room either way. I think the show is still good. I still think it's worth the subscription to the DC Universe.
Agreed.
And next week, Young Justice comes back. So let us know which show you would like us to focus on more. We could maybe talk about both, but if you guys, I will say this. Views for the Young Justice reviews do better than the Swamp Thing reviews, so that usually dictates what we talk about. So
if you've got an opinion one way or the other, let us know in the comments down below.
Sound off. But make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. No one likes all this info at the end, but guess what? If we don't say it, you don't do it.
Do it!
At Only Stupid Answers on Twitter.
You can have the bells from Stupid.
Monday is brand new podcast episodes. This week we're talking about Toy Story 4.
Yay!
Oh, so good! There's your early review. Also, there's a review over at Might Be Awesome, which you can watch as well. We have so much goddamn content. Don't miss out on that. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.